Hey Ron, how you doing? Thank you for the opportunity to be here on your show today. As you say, I'm Andrea Williams Mosley. I am here to bring you some good news today. As you say, I'm an author. I've been an author for about 4 years. I am an educator, been an educator business for 23 years, proud to be an educator, love what I do, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to come at you today talking from the mental aspects of being a breast cancer survivor and how I came upon my book, Grace to Recovery. So I'm coming to you today as a breast cancer survivor from the mental aspects of it. And Ron, I just want the people to know, going through being a breast cancer survivor, it brings a lot of stress and mental wellness for you. And I remember when I first found out that they found a lump in my breast, and it was a very emotional moment. First of all, I'd like to say that I was a overweight person, morbidly obesity to be exact. And when I found out, of course, what most people do, you cry, you be all emotions. My emotions was everywhere. I have an 8-year-old son at that time. I had three sons, 8, 10, and 14. I think that's what it was. But anyway, I was very emotional. I was all over the place. And I was numb. I remember being numb for like about 30 seconds. And then I was like, well, God, why me? We always want to question why you? What did I do? What did I do wrong to deserve to get this? I don't deserve this. So I had to deal with that. And so I came home. I sat in my room and I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna trust and believe in you that this is not the end for me. And of course, I just cried again and cried. It's getting emotional to think about it. But once I got over that part, I say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna fight because I have to fight for my kids. I have to fight for me. And so I just sat there and I got my journal out and I just started writing. Started writing how I felt, what I was feeling, what I was going through at that time. And I was angry. Just gonna be honest, I was angry, very angry. I was upset. I remember throwing books, my laptops across the room because I'm like, I ain't do nothing. I mean, why? Nobody in my family has cancer, so why? Are you trying to teach me a lesson? Are you trying to show me something that I'm not receiving, I'm not getting, or I just don't want to pass the test? I mean, what's going on here? But after blaming myself for a while, I went into a shell for 3 months. 3 months. I got up, went to work every day. I cooked for my kids. I went to the baseball games, the football games. I did everything functionable like I normally would do. Knowing that I was holding this in my heart, never told nobody. Not even my mom knew about it. I didn't tell nobody. And so I just kept going and kept going. I would come home, do my normal duty. I would go in my room and I would just shut off and I would just sit there. See, that's the mental part that a lot of people don't understand. It's your mind. Because I was trying to get control of my mind. If I can get control of my mind, then I knew I could beat this. But at that moment, I couldn't. because I was blaming myself and trying to figure out what happened. It was, hmm, that's good. Um, it was hard. That's all I gotta say. It was hard. My mind, it was hard. And when I, let me see, how can I put it? When I first started coming out of it, I want to say coming out of it. Um, I remember sitting in church, and my pastor, he was bringing the word, and he said that you have to research for yourself. So I said, okay, but what do I research? So I got home. I researched disease. I researched mental. I researched why. And when I Googled all that, of course, a lot of scriptures came up. A lot of scriptures came up. And so I made me a notebook. I made a notebook of all of the diseases that was in the Bible. I made a notebook of all the sickness. And what I did was I studied when it happened, what they did to arrive to where they was delivered. I read those scriptures and those stories. Yes. I read those stories over and over and over every day. Because in my mind, I wanted to plant that seed in me. So no matter how I was feeling that day, one of those parables would come forth so I could make it through the day. And by doing that for me, because I could talk about me, for me, it helped me mentally. It kept me in that positive space. And so as life went on, this situation, I was going to my treatments, doing everything I'm supposed to do. And I realized that there was a change coming inside of me. I was starting to birth a healing within myself. And so then I had to start thinking about the journey. I said, okay, God, when I do this journey, this was going to happen. Now, I have this now, but this is what I want out of this. I want to be a walking testimony so I could help other people and tell them about my story. I don't want this, but since I have it,
Right.
but let me go ahead and just go forth.
Right.
So I started reading them scriptures. I started quoting those scriptures. I started writing those scriptures.
Mm.
I started posting them all over my classroom. Wherever I was, I had them. I had them in my car, okay?
Right.
At that time, I had a van or something like that. And my kids would be like, Mom, why you got all these papers up here? Because I have to keep the word in front of me.
Right.
I have to keep seeing it and I have to stay focused. And if I stay focused,
Mm.
then everything else will work out.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of the show, but this is Conversations with Ryan Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. And for you guys who didn't hear me, we have my good friend, Miss Andrea Williams, educator, author, and entrepreneur, and all around good people, breast cancer survivor as well, telling her story about, her journey with breast cancer and everything. So I want to go back to what you were saying about your kids. They were asking you different questions about what you were dealing with, and how do you think uh, that affected them mentally, as far as the disease, or you being diagnosed with breast cancer?
Well, first of all, I think they were scared. I mean, they was little kids.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, okay, I raised all three of my kids to be their own individual person, so they have their own feelings.
Right.
And my oldest one is the one, like, okay, mom, you got this. You're gonna be he's the fighter.
Right.
That's that one that has that fire. And my middle child, he was scared. He was like, what? And the first thing he said, Mom, you gonna die? I said, no.
Mm-hmm.
But at that moment when he asked me that, my heart dropped. It was
Right.
like, did he just really ask me if I'm gonna die?
Mm-hmm.
And it made me almost, just a slight minute, fall back into towards that negative role.
Right.
And I had to shake it off because, like I told you before, I had my book, I had all my sticky notes with all my positive affirmations up there, so where I could see it when I started slipping.
Mm-hmm.
And my baby was just like, he just cried. He was 8 years old. He just cried. And I remember telling them, don't worry about mom, I'm gonna be all right. Mom got this. You know how you do the football chest thing, because we was
Your
athletic
family.
family,
Right, right, right.
we like, I'm trying to be all hardcore, but of course I was heartbroken,
Mm-hmm.
But my kids was my biggest reason for fighting, because they're used to mom being there. But I think that for the most part, as long as I kept my mental mind positive, I can keep my house positive.
Mm.
If I was hurting, I didn't let them see me hurting. If I was sad, I didn't let them see me. I was sad. I've always kept that upbeat. But when I went in my room, that was a whole different story.
Right.
I still ate I still ate dinner with them. I mean, like, we was this steady functioning.
You still live your normal life.
Yeah, I
Right.
had to. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's one of the important elements of keeping a positive mindset. When you want positivity all around you, that's what you got to do.
Right.
So that's what I did. As a mother, you're gonna do what you have to do for your kids. I wanted them to be successful. So I don't think it affect them as much as it would have if I would have allowed myself, my mind, my thoughts to go towards the negative. So I feel that as long as I keep it positive, they will be okay. So I don't think it really affect them. But I do know that that day when I told them that I was healed totally,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it was a great day in the household. We
Right.
partied.
Right. Right. So I've had numerous guests on the show, um, you know, talk about breast cancer and their journey. And I always ask every guest, I always get a different answer every time I ask this question. But where does one go when they find out about the diagnosis or they find out that uh, they have breast cancer mentally? Where do you go? Or where did you go, I should say?
Well, when I first found out, I remember like it was yesterday. I'm a dreamer,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And usually in my dreams, I will wake up and I will start doing things out of the norm that I normally don't do. So that morning I woke up, matter of fact, it was a Sunday.
Really?
It was a Sunday. I woke up and my hand automatically went to my breast. It was like someone was telling me exactly what to do
Mm-hmm.
and where to go. To this day, I still feel that it was the Holy Spirit getting my attention,
Of course, right.
telling me what to do. Because, when you sleep, you're relaxed. You know what I'm saying? You're not worrying about the world, nothing's going on, you just relax. And so in the dream, I could see this happening and I'm doing it because my eyes were still closed. So I went over there to the left breast and I would start giving myself a breast exam. And my hand went straight to it. And I remember I told you I'm a very large person at that time. I was over 300 something pounds.
Right.
So that's a lot of, movement I got to do. But I didn't do it that day. I went straight to it. And that what woke me up.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes bugged, looking crazy, like, what is this here? I mean, whoa, this is not what I think it is because I was dreaming it,
Right.
but it really was. It scared the crap out of me. I ain't gonna lie. So I got up and then, stood up and actually did the arm and everything and did it and said, oh, it is there.
Right.
Start crying.
So I want to ask you, before then, did you uh, do self-examinations?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So you did the mammograms yearly and different things like that?
Well, at that time, because I was, because of insurance, I didn't go and get mammograms, like you're supposed to. Because, they got this age thing going on. You know how some insurance is, but that's another topic.
Right.
So, but I will go and get my physicals and everything done, all my female things I do. The doctor would do what he does, every time I would go. But, you have that gap in between there. Because I had went like 6 months ago.
Right.
And I was fine. So who gonna think that, the doctor tell you good? Would you think 6 months later, to do that? You
Right.
don't, because you just had a mammogram, right? So I still was in denial.
Okay.
Still was in denial. I said, oh, it's fatty tissue. I'm a big girl. I'm over 300 pounds, some fatty tissue, because, in that area, it's a lot of tissue, a lot of meat up there. Ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Trying to play it off. I ain't gonna even lie. I was trying to play it off.
Right.
So I went to church. And one of the ministers, her and I very close, and she was going through breast cancer at that time. And I was telling her about it. And I felt comfortable with it. So she did it to me and stuff. I said, see what I told you? It's right there. I said, but it's fatty tissue. I know it's fatty tissue. I'm not worrying about it. I'm going to go up in here. I'm going to go and sing in the choir. I'm going to be on the praise team.
Right.
I'm going to do all this thing. It's fatty tissue.
You still doing your thing?
Yeah, I'm still doing my thing.
Right.
But it was in the back of my mind. It was in the back of my mind. So after that, I went to the doctor. That's when reality hit, when I went to the doctor. And he said, he was a nice guy, and he said, it's a possibility. He said, but you are a big woman, a large woman. That's the word he used. He used large. He said, you are a large woman,
Right.
and it can be a fatty tissue. But he said, but we're going to believe that it's not. So he gave me hope. I said, okay, cool beans. No hope about him. So we waited. He said, but I'm going to rush you through. So he rushed it through, and I went back, and it was diagnosed. It was cancer. So I was like, okay. Stood there a minute, looked at him. I got on my defense because I was ready to fight now. Because I'm like, you just told me that
Right.
strong possibility. And he was like, well, I can't give you a diagnosis. I said, I know you can't. I know that you are just trying to be positive. I know you're trying to keep me on the right track, but I just want to let you know I'm mad.
Right.
And I'm upset.
And rightfully so, because, like we talked about, you're out here, you're a young woman, you're living your life, you're raising your family, you're doing everything that you think is right, but then you get hit with a health issue that you don't have any control over. And that can throw a monkey wrench in anything, that we deal with in our daily lives. Right? Hit us up, man. 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. I am here with my good friend, Miss Andrea Williams. Tell them where they can get in contact with you.
You can reach me at 832-736-3529. That's my number. My website is motormotivator68.com. You also can email me at motormotivator68gmail. Hit my social media, Andrea Mosley. That's MOSL. That's 1EY.
All right, man. This is Conversations with Ryan Richardson. Remember, guys, hit me up on Facebook. Just search for the Ryan Richardson or Ryan Rich Facebook page. You can also find me on Instagram at Ronald_Richardson_Jr. on Instagram. I also have a secondary Facebook page. Just search for Ronnie_Richardson_Jr. on Instagram. And we'll be right back with my good friend, Miss Andrea Williams, right here on Conversations with Ryan Richardson. See you in a sec. Peace.
Didn't catch this morning's conversation? No worries. The Good Morning Show is now a podcast on all your favorite apps. Just search WBOK Media, find The Good Morning Show, and make it part of your daily routine. Download it, share it, and rate it 5 stars. Start your day with something real.
Hey family, Ron Richardson here, host of Conversations with Ron Richardson. If you're looking for quality catering and barbecue, you need to contact my friends at Kuzan's Catering and Barbecue Team. Mr. Eddie Bunch and Kuzan's have been serving the West Bank since 2013 with their quality selection of barbecue and seafood. If you're looking for quality catering, be sure to contact Kuzan's Catering, located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero, or you can go to kuzansonline.com for more information for all the services that they offer, or call 504-233-4227. Catering done the right way just for you. That's Kuzan's, baby.
New Orleans, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
WBOK online at WBOK1230.com.
It's the place where we can be open and honest about real life issues. You're listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson, live on WBOK and online at WBOK1230.com.
Welcome back. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com and also streaming on YouTube. Remember, guys, you can contact me on Facebook. Just search for the Ron Richardson or Ron Rich Facebook page. You can also find me on Instagram. Just search for Ronald_Richardson_Jr. and you can find out everything you need to know about my radio career, what's going on in my life, and my beloved dog Queen, who's patiently waiting at home for me to play with her, the beloved Queen. And I have my girl, my good friend, longtime friend, Miss Andrea Williams in WBOK Studios. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
It seems like you were a little nervous there at the beginning, huh?
Yes, I was. I was, but I'm getting good. I'm getting better. I'm getting better with your help. I'm getting better.
I got you. Nonetheless, man, she is here telling us about her journey with breast health and healing. So we were talking during the break, and I didn't know that in the midst of all this, you were teaching school.
Yes, I was.
So briefly touch on, how you got into becoming an educator and how your journey with breast cancer affected your work-life balance.
Well, let's see. At that time, I felt that it was a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Break that down for us.
When I found out I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I started with education as a long term. And what I mean by long term is I was always involved in education some kind of way, but it was like just substituting or, volunteering. It wasn't a long-term thing.
Of course.
Okay. So when I decided to get into education to be a long-term thing, it was the same time that I found out I had cancer, breast cancer. So I had to juggle both of them because I'm going into a new school. They don't know me. I don't know them. I only know the principal because that's who interviewed me. So I'm like, should I tell them? Should I not tell them? Should I tell them? Should I not tell them? Kind of battling with that for a little bit.
Of course.
So I went to work every day like it was nothing. I dealt with the students. I did my job. At that moment, I would say that I was not at 100% like I am now when I go to work. I would say I probably was like at 80% because, I'm still dealing. I'm still trying to deal with the mind because I keep saying I cannot express that enough. The mind is what's going to get you through, right? So the person that I was paired with, he was good. He was awesome. And him and I built a relationship, and I wound up telling him. I wound up telling him what was going on. And he helped me through it a lot and kept me in a positive realm. And then eventually I told my principal, and she was like, girl, that ain't nothing. We got this. You're going to beat this. We got to know what you need. You need some time off? You need this here? Let me know when your appointments are so we could schedule it around your off days.
So basically what you're saying is you in the beginning of your journey, you had a great support system.
Yes. Right. And it was shocking because these are people that not related to me. They're not my blood. You know, I guess is what I call that extended family. Right. And so she worked with me. And around, when school begins, we have a fall break in October, then we have the Thanksgiving break, then we have the Christmas break. When I tell you my principal put my surgery dates all in there and plugged it in, my recovery time always fell on my vacation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is truly a blessing.
Yes, it is. It always fell. So my leave that I had to use was only being used for my doctor's appointments. Now, did I use up all my leave? Yeah, I did. I used it all up. Right. But I stayed in that realm where I had to be at. So,
but for good reason, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Good reason. When you have somebody in your corner that understand and want to help you to fight, I mean, you can't do nothing but fight. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm going to work now. Remember that book I was saying about? Man, I was that binder went to work with me every day. Every day, okay? Yeah. I ate by myself. I had my breaks by myself. I did everything by myself because I didn't want people in my ears. Mm-hmm. And I was afraid of other people finding out and judging me.
Of course.
Because people judge, when you're sick with something, then that's when people want to judge you, or tell you what you coulda, shoulda, would do. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to hear that because, Dre got a mouth.
Well, the thing is, I know that personally, but the thing is nobody understands, internally what you may be going through. I've said it many times on this show, me being born with cerebral palsy, mm-hmm. Nobody really knows my journey. Mm-hmm. Family does, and a couple of friends did, but, nobody really knew my journey. And it's always very difficult to explain to someone else who is not in your inner circle. The people who are in your inner circle are fine because, those are the ones that have been there. Those are the ones that have sat there with you through all the BS. But when somebody else, new is coming or trying to be in that inner circle, it's kind of difficult for them to really get to know who you are and what you're dealing with.
That's true. Right. And I totally agree with you. I even remember an incident where I was at work, mm-hmm. and like I said, I'm still trying to figure this all out,
right?
With my mind and stuff. But they made a comment, and I'm just gonna be honest, I took it there,
right?
And I had to explain to that individual and let them know until you've been in my shoes, you can't tell me nothing.
Right.
If you want to help me, you want to support me, that's fine. But to try to tell me what I need to do and what I should do,
right?
Until you've been there, you can't tell me nothing because everybody's journey is different. Everybody's journey is different. What I may be going through with my breast cancer journey at that time is not going to be like this person's journey over here. There was a lot of things that I didn't have to do that they had to do.
Of course.
And people need to understand that, instead of trying to judge or trying to fix it, just support. Mm-hmm. That's what we need, support.
Right.
encouragement, because at the end of the day, God is the one that's going to do the work. And by doing that, at that moment, when I walked away, I kind of felt free because I've been holding that in. I didn't know that there was going to be that individual person, but maybe, sometimes things have to set up, you know what I'm saying, for you to get that breakthrough. So I believe that had to happen for me to express how I felt, because remember, I told you I'm holding everything in. I'm not really talking about it too much.
Right.
So after that, then I became more comfortable with it, and I would tell people. And I was in the classroom one day, and I had a moment. One thing I always do is I let my students know that it's okay to have a moment. And I had to excuse myself. I said, just give me a 5 minutes. Let me get this together.
Right.
And so when I returned, I explained to my kids, even adults have moments. And it's okay for students to have moments, but it's how you react to it and what you do. So I had to play that all the way out so they could see that, yeah, I had a moment. I had to use my strategies. I had to get myself together to come back to finish my job. And I think by me doing that, I gained total respect from my students from that. And that was a moment, and that was another reality. I'm telling you, I had a lot of reality checks, okay, during this journey.
Of course.
And I was like, you know what? This is my niche as an educator. This is my niche.
Right.
Be real, be honest to my students.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I had told you, but I work with at-risk students.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the times what I hear from my at-risk students, that they're always seen, but they're not heard. No one listens to them. No one takes the time to explain what's going on, or why you do this or why you did that. You know what I mean? And so I was like, but let me use this journey to my favor. So that's what I hang on to when I'm in my classroom in any situation. I always let them, if you're going to be emotional, it's okay, be emotional, because I was emotional and I still had to function. I had to pay bills. I still had to go to work, and I think that's what makes me the person that I am, because I'm just a real person with a big heart. And I remember my journey. I take lessons from my journey every single day. And with that, it helped me to be a blessing to my students, if that makes sense.
Of course. I touch on my journey, dealing with disability often, really every week on, my show. Every time I have a guest on, it always brings me back to what I went through as a young kid, growing into a young man.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, growing up, going through, school system in New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, you are judged as a kid. Teachers automatically write you off because of what they see in the physical. They automatically think, okay, well, he's not going to be able to do this or that. And they really don't know. I can remember one story, one situation that I was in high school. And, this is something that I dealt with from a young child. Teachers telling me that because of the physical disability, I was never going to be able to go to college. I was never going to be able to, do these things. And I mean, these are people who work in the system. These are people that us kids are supposed to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're telling you you're not going to be able to do this, or your disability is going to prevent you from doing this. And you don't know what that does to a young person on the inside when in my heart I knew I was doing everything right. But yet the person that I'm supposed to come to for help and the person that I'm supposed to come to for guidance is telling me that I won't be able to. That is one of the most difficult things about having a disability or chronic illnesses, people writing you off just because of what you deal with.
I truly could relate to that. I could relate to that. And let me tell you why I could relate to that. I remember, I'm not a good test taker.
Right.
Not a good test taker. But if you give me one-on-one by myself, I could spit all the answers out to you, demonstrate, I could do it all.
Right.
But I remember one educator told me, because it was a test we had to take, and it was an open forum. And remember, I told you, I don't do well in open stuff with a whole lot of people.
Right.
And, I'm not ashamed to say that I failed. I mean, when I tell you I failed, them flags was flying. You heard me? Them flags was flying. So, and I remember the teacher telling me that I'm not college material. I will not be anything. So I can relate to what you're saying. That crushed me too. So then I started believing that I was a nobody. So I tried to start being a people pleaser because I wanted to prove this teacher wrong. I don't believe that, this is just my opinion, I don't believe that as an educator we have the right to break a student. Breaking a student to me is non-negotiable with me. We are there because a lot of them look up to us for what they don't get at home or what they want or what they're seeking, or they look at us to climb that ladder to get to where they're trying to go in life. So I don't believe that we have the right to break a student down regardless of what the situation is. Okay? But once again, that's what I say. I think that's what makes me the educator I am, because I know how that feels. I know how it feels to be bullied by an educator and by your peers. I know how it feels to be let down by an educator or your peers. So for me, as being in that position, I would not do that to my students, regardless of what they do, because
Right.
you want to hear the good report later on in life. Did that make sense?
Yes.
So that was one of my reasons for being the educator that I am. Yes, I was going through cancer. Yes, I was going through the moods. Yes, I was going through the mental. Yes, I was going through everything that was happening to me in my journey. But when I went to work, that was put to the side because it was all about my students.
Right.
I felt that I had to be in control of my mental health. That means body, mind, and soul, everything. When I took control of it and I started allowing God to lead me and God directing me in doing different things and how I did it, the journey got so much easier. It got so much better. And on November 9th, when I got that call saying that I was totally healed, that I am now classified as a survivor, was the best day, one of the best days of my life. And I felt that started my journey. That brought up things that I've always did in secret, in hiding, that I had the fear of. And that's where it came to, I started being transparent as much as I can in my writing. And then an opportunity arose, and a young lady asked me, did I want to be a part of her series? It's like, okay, what we doing? I ain't got to talk, right? I ain't got to do nothing. I just got to write. That's all I got to do.
Right.
I could do that. I could write all day.
Right.
So she gave me everything was going on. you know, the requirements. I did it, and I wrote my book. I wrote the chapter because it's like 14 ladies, and we all went through something. And this part of the series was heartfelt messages that you wanted to give to the world. So I wrote the chapter. Now, Ron, I wrote the whole chapter. Didn't have a title. Didn't know what the title was gonna be.
Right.
I came up with all kind of crazy stuff, and it was like, no, nada. I wrote my chapter like 3 times. You know, just kept writing it over. I said, okay. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna write it, and I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna leave it alone. So that's what I did.
Right. You know, it's crazy. We have similar stories. As you know, my grandmother passed in 2017.
Mhm.
I say this just about every week on the show, man. And you know, at the time, you know, and still to this day, my grandmother, you know, I'm big on family, but my grandparents were everything. So you know, I lost her in 2017, and still, you know, doing my thing,
Mhm.
working, you know, working in my field. Been in radio for a long time, for those that don't know, but still working in my field, and I just felt like something was missing, and I said, I don't know what it is. So a friend of mine, I really shout her out every week. Shouts out to my friend Ebony. You know, we became friends in 2018, and so we're on the phone one day and we're talking, and she has the exact same type of cerebral palsy that I do. Only difference is she walks with a cane. She's like, Ryan, what are you waiting on? You know, sis, I don't know. And she's like, just fire up YouTube and start talking. And I'm like, I don't know. And I didn't fire up YouTube right away, but I made a post. And if I can remember correctly, the post was, you know, about people who suffer with, you know, cerebral palsy use 5 times the energy than a quote unquote normal able-bodied person was.
Mhm.
And I put it up, and my friend Bert, best friend, called me. He was like, "Did you make that post?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Man," he said, you really want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah." And it was like each week, stuff just started pouring out, pouring out, pouring out, pouring out. And still working in radio, still working as a producer. And shouts out to my friend Jack Harris. He came to me one day. He said, "You know, I didn't have my radio show yet. I didn't even, you know, think about, you know, my radio show at that time. I was thinking about it. I'm not gonna say I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about it, but I didn't know which way I was gonna go." And you know, Jack told me, he said, "Ryan, if you ever get a radio show, disability is what you need to talk about." Now,
Mhm.
started talking about disability, and I thought that was going to be my only focus. But then the mental health aspect came, and, you know, drug addiction came in, and I started connecting with all these people, and that's when I realized I have a bigger purpose. So, and I want to thank you also for being there too, you know, when I needed you the most. So it's, you know, just thank you, and I really appreciate us being friends, and, you know, you just being that support system also. So you know what, I kind of took over this segment talking to my girl Dre, but we're gonna go to our second commercial break right here, and we're gonna keep going, all right?
All right.
All right. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com and also on YouTube. Remember, guys, hit us up, 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. I have more coming up with my girl, affectionately known to me as Dre,
That's it.
Miss Andrea Williams, right here on Conversations with Ron Richardson. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Ron Richardson here. If you are like me, that means you love the feeling of getting a fresh haircut and shave. If you do, then you should check out my friends Eddie and Dana Bunch at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon, specializing in hairstyles for men, women, and children. If you want to make a good first impression, you should check out First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero or call 504-341-6777. Remember, it's never too late to make that first impression at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon.
New Orleans, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
From the East Bank to the West Bank, WBOK is what New Orleans is talking about. WBOK.
Thanks for listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson, live on WBOK, and listen online at WBOK1230.com. Now, back to Ron.
Welcome back. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. We can also be seen on YouTube. Thanks for everybody who's tuned in with me today, and I have my very, very special guest, Miss Andrea Williams. How you doing?
All right.
Great. Tell the people where they get in contact with you.
You can reach me at Facebook, Andrea Mosley. As I always got to spell my last name out because they always want to put two E's in there. It's AndreaMosly, 1EY. You also can reach me at motormotivator68@gmail. And my website is motormotivator68.com. Phone number 832-736-3529.
We always, well, before the break, we were talking about, how similar our journeys were as far as, having a disability and you dealing with the chronic illness such as breast cancer. And we were talking about the way people don't recognize or let's just say have empathy to what a person may be going through. And I kind of took over the last segment because I started telling my journey. But every time I hear a story such as yours or, any other guest that I've had on, it just always takes me back to that moment of, man, I remember going through that as a kid, and even as a young adult, and sometimes still, you have people that think you're less of because you have a chronic illness or disability, and I'm here to tell you that's far from the case. We we fight, and we. I don't know about everybody else, but I know you and I, we don't take no for an answer.
Nah.
And one of my famous sayings is if one door closes, you make sure you knock the next one down. And I can't cuss on the air, but
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying, right? And I mean, I can remember even when I first got my start in radio. I've had people look at me and say, will he be able to do this? And even when I was at the bottom of the barrel and lowest on the totem pole, look, nothing's going to stop me from reaching my goal, which is, being on the air, hosting my own show, and letting people tell their story. And like I said during the last break, before the last break, just thank you for being that support system, and thank you for being a friend most of all, because you give me strength.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So tell us about Grace to Recover.
Well, Ron, Grace to Recovery was another life reality for me. It's a 2-book series, and I'm in the second book. And with the second book, it was combination of 14 ladies writing heartfelt messages about their fears, about their secrets, and about their loss, things that they was holding in. I am chapter number 12. And like I was sharing before, I wrote the chapter before I even had the title. And it's kind of ironic how I got the title. 'Cause remember I told you I'm a dreamer. I wrote the story, sent it in there and everything. Went to sleep, woke up, and voila. My breakthrough is for you. That was my chapter.
That was your chapter.
That was my chapter. I did say, like, why? I thought that was my breakthrough. I thought that was my personal journey, with cancer and everything. I thought that was just for me. That wasn't for the world, right? But God said, that's the name of your chapter. So, okay, cool beans. So that's what it was. And to sum it up, my chapter is talking about those secrets that you hide inside as a child, because I wore a lot of masks. Okay, and let me explain that. You know how there are things that you want to do, or that you expect, or that you need, but you're afraid to say anything or afraid to go after it? That's what I mean by the mask. I've always wanted to do things. I always wanted things. I always wanted family to be a certain way, and always was let down. But as I got older, when I had my own kids, I used to tell my kids, tell me, I don't have ESP. Tell me what you want, what you need.
What's going on?
Yeah, I didn't do that as a child. So I wore a lot of masks, colorful masks that I just want to let you know. Okay, Ron, it was very colorful. And so what happened was I brought that into my young adult life all the way to my adult life. You carry all that burden, you carry all that fear, all those secrets. I wrote it down in a journal, but I still was holding it. So I was still wearing masks. So when the cancer happened and I had to fight, because at that time I felt like I was fighting for my life, I had to tear down those barriers. I had to rip those masks off. So when the opportunity arrived for the Grace to Recover, I said, is this what you want me to do? So I had to be very transparent and open my life up to write that chapter. And after I wrote the chapter, I realized all my masks were gone. The fears, the secrets, the loss, they're gone. Now, I'm not saying that I don't pick a mask up here and there, but a mask like today, for instance, coming here, I'm like, oh my God, okay, Dre, put this mask on, you could do this, but
Right.
It's a mask that I could take off and on. I could use it at my leisure.
Right.
It's not a mask of holding fear, secret, and loss. So that's a difference. I want them to know that that's a difference. Those masks was holding me in bondage. So I wrote the book. I wrote the chapter, and I was explaining to people, let them know that it's okay to have a mask. It's okay. We all have them. Whether we want to believe it or not, we all have a mask. But you have to be willing to rip that mask off and be transparent with yourself and learn how to deal with the real struggle that you're dealing with. Because when you hold yourself in bondage, you're not leaving any room for God to bless you.
Ooh. Man, that you dropped the gem just now.
So my breakthrough is to bless you. I had to go through what I went through to write this chapter, because there may be someone out there that's going through similar situation that, you and I are going through, Ron, or there may be people that don't understand, but now they do. So if you read this chapter, My Breakthrough is for you, you're going to see a transparent person that can help you.
All right, so you know what? An hour goes by too fast.
Yeah, it's gone already.
So, in closing, any positive words of encouragement, man, that you want to give to my listening audience or anybody going through a similar situation?
Well, I'm going to leave you with this, Ron, with my favorite saying. Every knockdown is not a knockout. Just because life happens doesn't mean that it has to stay that way. Get up, dust yourself off, pray about it, and move forward.
All right, man. This has been Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. All the best to you, Miss Williams, all right?
Yes, it was a great opportunity.
All right. And I will see you guys next week, same time, same place. And remember, healing and recovery start with you. Love you, New Orleans. See you next week.